Oh, hello. It's Mr. Davis here. I'm afraid work gets very busy for me sometimes and I don't always have the time to stop and make these videos. So I hope you don't mind. Today you join me live from my library at home. I'm afraid I don't have my big flashy interactive whiteboard and I've just got this rather large computer monitor I found at a car boot sale, so hopefully it won't burst into flames and I hope you'll be able to see the stuff I'm going to be showing you. I'm going to try and teach you a couple of poems this evening because I know some of you have got an exam coming up. What you'll need is a copy of your poems, whether that's in your anthology or in a book or whatever you're studying them, whether tattooed on your arm. I know I have Sonic 130 tattooed on my back. And really we'll just go through and I'll talk you through it. So hopefully you're in a comfy chair and I'm in a fairly comfy chair, so we can sort of go through and get some revision done together. So let's see what poem we've got coming up first. Havisham by Duffy. Now, as some of you probably already know, the title Havisham comes from a character who appears in a book by Charles Dickens, in a book he wrote called Great Expectations. Is this book worth reading? Well, you'll have great expectations. Sorry. Anyway, this character is a fascinating piece of literary fiction. When we meet her, she's sitting in this house which used to be really grand and wonderful, but is now completely covered with dust. There's all sorts of kind of litter and all sorts of mouldy food all over the place, and all of the clocks have stopped at the same time. She's also a very strangely dressed lady. She's got this old wedding dress that's growing yellow and faded and moth-eaten, and bizarrely enough she's only wearing one shoe and it's completely worn out. There's one other shoe sitting on one of her side tables that's in perfect condition. Then we work out why. She's quite an old lady, and it turns out that when she was quite a young lady, she was engaged to be married, and in fact was about to get married. She put on her wedding dress, she was in the middle of putting on her shoes, she got one of them actually off already, and she was just about to kind of put the other one on, when all of a sudden she got told by one of her servants that the man she was going to marry had left her, jilted her at the altar. Can you imagine how you'd feel? Well, Miss Havisham feels pretty bad and, as I say, goes pretty crazy and spends the rest of her life in that wedding dress. Try not to imagine, the whole laundry situation, how much it might honk by now if she's been wearing it for decades. But basically, she spends all of her time in this wedding dress surrounded by the ruins of the wedding party that there would have been. So for example, on her dining room table there's this enormous wedding cake that's just become this sort of nest of insects and spiders because it's just been sitting there, and it sort of symbolises her kind of rotting love. Of course, the reason why she's only got the one shoe worn because she never even bothered to put the other one on. She's sort of living in this kind of hell of grief, completely cut off from the rest of the world. And she takes the poor young orphan Pip in the book and shows him, there it is, there's the wedding feast all overgrown with cobwebs. She's a very interesting character and quite a kind of frightening character as well. So the poem, you'll be delighted to learn, starts with a swear word, bastard. So I'm sure you'll have giggled in class at being able to hear your English teacher say the word bastard, and you might have enjoyed actually being able to put your hand up and say, the word bastard. Well, it's actually meant to be quite surprising. There are only a few poems that I can think of that contain swear words in the first line, most notably a rather brilliant one by Philip Larkin, which I'm sure you'll no doubt Google. Beloved sweetheart bastard. Now, you can say a lot about that line. Moron. Oxymoron. Sorry, you're not morons. Oxymoron. Oxymoron is a technical term which is used to describe two opposites put together. So, for example, hot snow, or a kind of bright darkness. It's a sort of phrase that doesn't really make much sense in a way because it's opposites, and it's often used to show massive conflicted feelings in the person speaking. So, beloved sweetheart bastard is an oxymoron. Now think about why that is. Beloved, beautiful romantic word. Sweetheart, beautiful romantic word. Bastard, ooh, it stings. And it's meant to be a sort of surprising first line. You could say bastard, if you want to, don't want to say swear word, you can say expletive is the proper term. This sort of swear word here stands out to show her hatred, but because it starts with this rather loving word, beloved, It forms this oxymoron to show that her feelings are conflicted. She loves this man and she hates him. And this kind of feeling of unsettledness and kind of aching conflict is at the heart of the poem. So there you go, oxymoron. You could also talk about the alliteration. Listen to it. Beloved bastard. B. It's technically called a plosive sound. Just think of explosive. You don't have to learn that for your exam, but plosive, because it sounds like it's spitting. Beloved sweetheart bastard. You know, it kind of, you can say it with a real kind of spite and malice. Not a day since then I haven't wished him dead. Prayed for it. So hard I've dark green pebbles for eyes. Now, I'm only really going to go through and pick out the main bits for you this evening, but dark green pebbles for eyes is a really fantastic quote to use if you're writing an essay on this, because it's actually three words that you can analyse in some detail. 2 adjectives and then pebbles. It's really quite nice. Dark here, you're thinking of the dark side of the thought, you know, bom, 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 bom. Well, you get the picture. Dark, sinister, evil. Sorry. Dark, mean. Also the darkness of her neglected heart. Green, jealousy, envy, the green-eyed monster. So she's feeling cruel and evil, and pebbles, like stone. Ropes on the back of my hands. Now, she was once a very beautiful woman, and now she's been growing older and older and colder and crueler, and her body started to decay and fall apart. And actually, you know, if you look at the back of your hands, you might even see some veins sticking out. It'll get worse as you get older, I promise you. So these veins are kind of sticking out, and as she's rotted and decayed, kind of left like the wedding cake to become more and more rotten at her heart, these sort of ropes on the back of her hands have appeared, and she blames him for her decay and her rotting and the fact that she's grown so cold and cantankerous. So she wants to kill him. So she wants to take the veins from the back of her hand and strangle him. So it's about her decay and her anger. Spinster, the word's stuck on its own for effect. It's almost like a bit of an insult there, spinster. Because actually in those days, you know, spinster was seen as quite a negative term. It was if you didn't have a husband, you didn't have any financial means to support yourself. You'd make your money spinning wool. So it's the impression of this old lady sitting in an attic somewhere, spinning wool. Spinster. The thing that he's made her become. I stink and remember. Again, that idea of decay, of rotting. Plus, that's all she can really do, is sit there and stink and decay in that wedding dress that she's worn ever since the day he left her. Whole days, the word whole to demonstrate, you know, the emphatic kind of feeling of the time being slow and painful, like a kind of torture. Whole days in bed, cawing, no, at the wall. I like cawing. Think of the bird, the crow. A crow's supposed to caw. Crows wear black. They eat dead things. They prey on weak, helpless things. Think about a bride wearing black. Beautiful, innocent, happy for her wonderful day of celebration and the start of a long love. And now think of the crow, lonesome on top of a tree, looking for some rotting or poor thing to prey on. She's gone from being this white-clad beauty to being this malicious, vindictive bird of prey. Cawing, so her voice is decaying. Cawing no at the wall, the dress yellowing, again the decay. Trembling if I open the wardrobe. Now you can be quite clever there if you like. It could be that the dress is trembling. You imagine when you open the wardrobe, maybe it's on a hanger on the door, the kind of movement of the door would actually make the dress tremble. But it could be something else. The dress is trembling. But if she never takes it off, it means that she's trembling. She's shaking as she opens the wardrobe. And inside Victorian wardrobes you used to get the mirror on the inside. So as she opens it and looks in the mirror, she starts to tremble. But she doesn't say she's trembling. She's saying the dress is trembling. It's like a kind of willingness to kind of pretend that she's not there almost. And you'll see that again here. The slewed mirror, full length. Her. Myself. When she looks in the mirror she says, her. Not me to begin with. It's her. So when she sees her reflection, it's like she's looking at someone else. It's like she's either ashamed at the person she's become, or else she's changed so much she doesn't recognise herself. So that moment where she goes, her, myself, that complete moment of detachment from herself. The fact that the dress is trembling shows her shaking, but the slewed mirror, the mirror's distorted. Or is it? Is the mirror distorted like a funhouse mirror? Or is it when she looks at it, she sees her own face staring back and feels that the mirror must be distorted? It must be warped in some way, because when she looks at her image, she sees this cantankerous, wicked and warped woman. All of this stuff here, the kind of ropes on the back of her hands, dark green pebbles for eyes, the screaming, the trembling, is her kind of horror at the terrifying kind of skeletal, dreadful woman that she's become.